Hi, I'm Sophia and I draw animals, and today we're walking through all of my art supplies. I've kind of accumulated quite a few supplies over the last couple years. There is a big divide of very old supplies and very new supplies, seeing as though I didn't draw for a 7-year gap in between my adolescence and now adulthood. So I want to show you what I do with certain materials. I want to walk you through my cheapest and most expensive ones, give some honest reviews, and yeah, that includes my general sketching pencils and my sketchbook itself, because I do have a couple that I'm waiting to get into once I finish this one. So hopefully we can get that done soon. Another disclaimer is that I'm a fully self-taught artist. I've never taken an art class in my life. I have been drawing since I was like 3 years old, minus the gap in the middle, you know? But I've always loved art. I've always collected art, bought art, that kind of stuff. This wall will eventually get filled again, I promise. I know it's empty. Yeah, anyway, let's move on. I want to show you what I have, and this is gonna be fun. It's a little warm out here, so if you hear me huffing and puffing, please do not say anything. Grab a drink, grab a snack. I've got water in hand, I've got apple juice in hand, and we are gonna get through this today. All right. We are ready to go. I want to kind of start with supplies that I have opened. So it's gonna be my sketchbooks that are currently in use, my pencils that I'm currently using, and yeah. So this is my current sketchbook. This one I started in February of 2025. I think it was mid-February. Currently it is August. So hopefully I can finish that before the year mark, that I'm almost done with it. I'm like maybe 20 pages out. Yeah, it's pretty thick paper. I do have some gripes with it though. I've gotten a lot of people asking me what this is because it's a nice size and it's square. It is the Van Arto like square 8-inch sketchbook. It's supposed to be mixed media and it's supposedly supposed to hold ink pretty well. Yeah, it's this brand, Van Arto. The paper's pretty okay. I definitely think it looks really well with colored pencil. I do find that it's really smudgy with graphite, as you can see. I do not think that it holds ink well, though. I don't think that it holds marker well, but I'm gonna be fair. I think that most paper doesn't hold marker well, and that it's very hard to get a sketchbook that holds marker well. I don't think I found one that has done that yet, and I really would like to, because I like to use marker as my base layer for a lot of coloring. Like you can see it bled through on this side, and that wasn't even very heavy coloring, but it bled through so bad with the Ohuhu markers. We will get into that in a second. I honestly probably should have thought about this, and I will just do some color around it or something to make sure that they're still standing out. But yeah, I don't quite like the paper texture either. It's not as smooth as I want it, but that just might be personal preference. I also will say, I know I've got a lot of negatives about this. I promise it's a decent sketchbook. That's why I've been recommending it very cautiously to people and letting them know up front that, like, if you don't like perforated pages, do not get the sketchbook because they fall out like nobody's business. Obviously, I lost a page here. These ones are very weak. I have to be very careful when turning them, otherwise they start to fall out. There's been a couple where I have, see, look. Come on now. I have started reinforcing some of the pages with glue just to make sure that they don't fall out. But I don't want to have to do that every single time that I have something that like is extra special. I feel like it shouldn't fall out unless I purposefully rip it out. Do you know what I mean? So that's like, those are my gripes with it. Otherwise, I like the tone. I at least don't prefer pure white paper, so I like that it's kind of an off-white color. It's pretty thick paper. I just don't like that they fall out so easily and that they don't hold alcohol ink very well. So that's my current sketchbook. I really want to get through it though, just so I can get to my new bigger sketchbook, because I feel like that would be really fun. Some positives. This is really stupid, but I like the texture on the outside. It's not fabric and it's not like actual leather or anything, but it's super soft and it's very nice on the hands. I do appreciate the bookmark and the elastic here, but other than that, it's a very decent sketchbook. I just don't prefer it. There's some very minimal things that I honestly think are just minor inconveniences that I do not like, but otherwise it's in general a decent starter sketchbook. I definitely want to look into more high quality ones though. Moving on from this sketchbook, next up is the Ohuhu Sketchpad. Now I will say I have not used this for markers quite yet. I'm going to, and I will give an honest review on that. I will say though, immediately the paper is so much thicker and smoother. I don't entirely like the bright white. I think it's a little too stark, a little too jarring, but that's also because I have Scentsy eyes and I just love off-white and cream and beige for sketchbooks. But I do like the way that it's very smooth, so that when I do kind of these pencil sketches that are colorful, they come out very, very almost like a Procreate brush is how they look to me. I do like how they hold ballpoint pens and gel pens. These is just a pencil sketch, I think, after that. These are more of that colorful graphite thingy things. I'm a liar, I actually did test it with alcohol marker. I am going to block this next page though, because there is some Scentsy information on there. It definitely is a lot better than the other sketchbook. I just don't know. I think I'm going to test it with the actual Ohuhus because my personal color markers are juicy, but like not as juicy as the Ohuhus, and those ones I feel like bleed like crazy. So far, I don't think I can give a full review of the sketchbook, but for the most part, I've been liking it. I just haven't been reaching for it as much because I'm currently trying to finish that much larger sketchbook. This is the first sketchbook I used when I was starting this channel. I actually did a sketchbook tour on the sketchbook. This one is an XL brand. You can see it kind of hiding under there. This one is a spiral bound, and this was March 2023 to I think January of 2025. Took me a while to do. I actually kind of adored how this texture is. It's smooth but still textured. I don't know how to explain that. I do think this is a pure white one as well. I don't entirely love that, but I tend to tone my pages anyway. As for bleeding, obviously it did bleed through more than the Ohuhus, but definitely not as much as the Van Arto sketchbook did. I think this was a very good mixed media sketchbook. It held up really well against all of my testing. This is another alcohol marker drawing. This one's entirely in felt pen and alcohol marker. And look at that blade through. Not nearly as much as the shark we saw just a second ago. So yeah, I think I definitely would love to see an XL brand mixed media sketchbook with no spiral. As much fun as this is, I like the idea of doing a full spread now. It's a thing I've kind of graduated into, and it's been very fun doing that. I'm now going to walk you through my pencils because this is a very important thing to me. I love a good pencil. It's a necessary thing. First up is the Mr. Pen 2.0 millimeter pencil thing. I'm not gonna lie to you, I saw this on TikTok Shop. I did not buy it from TikTok Shop. But I was very intrigued because of the thick lead. I really like a thicker lead. I'm very rough on pencils, and I think these withstand my unfortunate death grip on the pen. And I also like the thicker sketching process. It makes me not get lost in too many details. And you can buy this 36 color refill thing. And we know me, I literally very rarely sketch in black and white. It is almost always in some sort of color. I think the color I have in there is like a tealy color right now. Just fucking take a random page out of this for a second. But the color I have in there right now is a tealy dark greeny blue. It's beautiful. I like to sketch in their dark browns, in their orange, and their light blues a lot. But they've got a lot of colors, so I definitely want to work through. You saw some monochrome pink sketches in one of these actually a second ago in the Ohuhu sketchpad. But best part is I can just unload them and load them like that. This is not an ad. They do not sponsor me. I'd love it if they would. One gripe though, because there's always a con to everything, unfortunately. So the eraser is not very big. I would highly suggest just getting a different eraser and using that. And on top of that, you can only load one lead at a time. They last for a while because they're thick and they're long. I will say though, you do have to buy a separate sharpener if you'd like to sharpen them very often, because you can get that very fine point. I'll show you one of the sharpeners. They're very cute. This is only not really an issue for me because I don't tend to sharpen them. I like the blunt look of the graphite. So yeah, only real issue with this is that you have to buy each piece separately unless you're getting those large packs that have multiple of these and only a select few colors. I specifically only wanted one pencil and a lot of colors, but I did have to buy each of these pieces separately. I think totaled around to like 20 bucks in total of items just for this one pencil. So do with that what you will. I do really like it though, so I don't regret my decision at all. I use it every day. For my other sketching pencils, I use the Charles Leonard ink red color pencil thing to sketch. They do have erasers. They are sharpenable. Obviously, I do love using a wood pencil as well as mechanical ones, but sometimes this is what I need to ground myself. So very necessary in my opinion to have some sort of wood pencil to work with. These are actually a repurchase because in the move I kind of lost everyone except for orange and green. I wound up purchasing the Big Velocity color pencil things. They're very smooth. They are, I think, a point. What the hell's the width on these? I forgot. I don't remember, but they're definitely not super duper thin. Their colors are really, really nice. I have a couple that are from my old pack right here, actually. These are the couple that I have from my old pack that are just the last ones standing at this point because I've kind of lost all the other colors. I need to get a pencil case. I don't know what I'm doing. I've been an artist for a long time and I don't have a pencil case apparently. The erasers aren't super duper good. They erase, but obviously because they're color, they're gonna leave a little bit of a stain. I've used them in a lot of sketching in that first sketchbook I showed you. Because they're much thinner on the end, they do break if you are heavy-handed with your sketching. I will say that if you do very light coloring like this, they last a very long time and you can get a lot of color down. But there's only a few pieces of lead in them, and you will have to buy refills. I think they do sell packs of refills separately for like all the colors and or ones for individual colors, but I just never wound up doing that, and I had lost so many of them that I figured I might as well just get new ones. This was before I got the Mr. Pencil. I still think they're worth it to have around just because I wouldn't have to switch colors one by one in my pencil case. So yeah, I still think it was worth it to repurchase and own all three of these. I hope that doesn't make me sound like a crazy person, but I really do love my pencils because colorful sketching just makes me feel like I've done more than I actually have. Yeah, so those are my pencils. And obviously honorable mention, Miss Jelly Roll. I use her for my eye highlights. I don't use it too much in the actual drawing process. I tend to use a white paint marker for that, but we'll get into that. Now, I'm going to walk you through my most favorite of my materials. Oh, this will be a very, very big mixture of brands. For markers, I have this mess. Most of them are Prismacolor, but there are a sprinkle of Artist Loft pencils, just like the regular brand from Michaels. These are very, very old pens. The Artist Loft ones are slightly newer, but the Prismacolors I have had since I was turning 13. Yes, I was 13, and I'm almost 23. So, yeah, you can do the math. A lot of these are starting to die. I will say the ones I don't use as much, like the pinks, are still very, very juicy. Love the smell. That is not like actually a pro to a lot of things, but I genuinely do love the smell of these. I like how they layer, and I like that the colors are very, very, very true to color. That matters to me a lot. I will say with the Artist Loft ones, these are not true to color, if you can't see that. It's supposedly supposed to be a purple. It's called Pale Thistle. It is very, very pink. I don't know if it's just a dud, but it has always been like this. But I do really like them. I think they work well together. It's just a matter of I have to let these die, and I'm never going to get rid of them until they stop actually inking. I just can't. They're almost sentimental at this point. I'd use them in every piece, I think, that I've done, every major piece that I've done. They're just kind of a part of me, and I don't think I can let them go. So they're not going to get let go. I'm going to keep them. Next thing. These are the new markers. They are the Ohuhu Honolulu series art markers. I think these ones are the alcohol-based ones, yes, because I've used them together with these. I don't think I like these markers, which is such a hater thing to say, because they're very, very popular. Their color is very vibrant, which is not the issue. The issue is that they're so drastically different from the color that is on the marker cap. Like, I could guarantee you that I have had to swatch these so many times, and I still could not tell you the color that they actually are, because when you place them down, they're so incredibly different. And that to me is really annoying, because I want to just be able to choose a color, know generally what it's going to look like, and place it on the page. I have to swatch these every time I use them, which just feels like it takes up so much more time, and I'm just not reaching for them as much because they're just so inaccurate. It kind of pisses me off. I do think once I get into the rhythm of learning them, it'll be a little bit easier, but it is still very, very annoying that I can't just grab it and go. I definitely think if I get markers again, it will not be Ohuhu. They're cute, they're bright, they're very saturated, but they're also kind of too dark. They're all too dark. Even the pastels come out very, very dark, and I wanted pastels for some of the markers. So that's a little frustrating. That's my honest review of them. I did use them in the shark drawing to just kind of get them out of the way, and I had to swatch so many blues because they were very inaccurate to the cap color, and for me it was more of an issue because I couldn't just choose the color and generally know what's going on with it. I had to work a lot more to figure out what I could use for the drawings, and that I just found was an issue more than anything. Yeah. We know how I feel about the Ohus. I think I've complained about them a little bit too much on this channel, but they kind of make me crazy that they're not accurate to the color of the cap. That's like your one job as a manufacturer, is to make it so the person knows what they're using. And I feel like if you can't go through the trouble of that, then product's not for me. Not to be a hater, but I'm very picky. I want things to be very smooth and streamlined, and that just throws a wrench in the streamlining process. Now, this is an older supply. These are my micro tip pen thingies. They are Mondo Llama. They're literally like a Target brand I got eons ago. They're 0.4. I like how fine point they are. They're very good if I want to do full marker drawings and add some texture, some lines that are just slightly color shifted, that kind of stuff. I do find that the colors are very accurate, and there is a wide range of colors here. There's a lot of blues. I think I did lose a few. There's a lot of greens, and even the reds and oranges I think come out as different colors. They don't all look the same, which I do appreciate. I will say, you gotta be careful with some of the really bright ones because they almost come out neon, but it is helpful in some circumstances. They're pretty old, but not as old as these markers right here. I do like them though, and I would suggest them if you want some fine point pens with a lot of variety in color. Yeah. Last but not least at all is my Prismacolor Premier pencils. These are the ones that I've had for 10 years. I don't want to have to repurchase these because they're going to be so expensive now to get a larger pack. Although I think once they're kind of done, I might try a different brand of color pencils, see how I like, because there's a lot of new brands that are up and coming that are very, very well spoken about. I really like the colors of these. I like how they layer. I will say, I have not had much experience with higher quality brands of color pencil. This is kind of my only dip into that. And they are very old, so who knows if the formulas have changed or that kind of stuff. So that is just my general disclaimer about that. However, these have worked for me. I know how to use them. I like the color range. I think they mix very well, and I use them in almost every drawing I ever make. Even ones that are mostly marker based, I tend to add some little touches with those. I think they layer on top of other colors very well. And yeah, I clearly love them because I use them so much. They look really tall right now. It's because I'm just now starting to dip into them, and I did just buy a proper sharpener for them because I was using like a kid's sharpener, so I was breaking them a lot, which is kind of upsetting. But now you can see that more of them are no longer the manufacturer sharpen. More of them are starting to look like I've sharpened them and that kind of stuff, especially this one. This one's hella sharp. I do find that the pastel can break a lot when you hand sharpen them, but using a proper like mechanical sharpener for that kind of mitigates that issue. So that's my one gripe with them. But otherwise, I think the colors are very accurate when I put them down. I think they're very pigmented when I put them down. Mostly good things to say about her. I really like these pencils, and I'm loving getting to use them a lot now. Do I have anything else to show you? Hi, it's Editing Sophia. I hella forgot to grab these because they were in the room when I was filming in the studio, and because it's out of sight, out of mind, I never grabbed them. But I've been using the ArtX paint markers a lot recently, and I think it's safe to say that we all know that I really freaking love them. I think the colors are really accurate. I like how stiff the brush pen is. It's not like, it's definitely the perfect amount of stiffness and looseness. I can still get a lot of different shapes with the brush pen without it being so loosey-goosey. But there's a good shade range. I like how many greens and how many yellows and oranges there are. Those are very important to me. Those are the colors I tend to use most. So it really works out for me that this palette has those colors that I genuinely like to use a lot. I think I definitely would repurchase, and I definitely would get a different palette if it wasn't excessive to have like a million markers. And I kind of already feel like I have too many art supplies, and I don't want to like overconsume, but it's hard to resist the temptation when I really do like their paint markers. Lest I forget, the crayons. These I have only used a few times in this most recent sketchbook, although I do love them. Some of the colors come out much more translucent than others when I don't think they should, but that's just like classic crayon. It's a cheaper material. It happens, you know. I think these pens and these pens are my cheapest materials right now. Sorry, these pens and these crayons. But yeah, I really liked using these. It was very, very fun. It was very, very playful. And I think the pieces I created with this, some of them I've even printed and have sold now. I really liked them, and I think they came out really cute. My only complaint with crayons is that they're so fucking tiny because they're made for children that my hands hurt a lot when I'm holding them. And because once again, I have a death grip on my pencil, I have snapped a couple of these in half. So most of my complaints are just preferences. Let's be real. But if your preferences align with mine, then you'll understand. If they do not, then you can ignore them. We're running out of room here if you can't tell. This is an extra little bonus part here. I have a couple supplies that I'm gonna break into that I haven't broken into yet, and I do want to show you because we're probably gonna make some videos on them and explore them. I got those freaking TikTok twistable bear crayons. They're just the wax pastels. Hopefully those work the way that I want them to. I've heard they're water soluble, so they should be able to work like watercolor as well. Ooh, cool. I think because I enjoyed the crayons so much that these make sense, and I'll get to do some more, like less detailed but more colorful pieces with this because they seem very, very, very colorful. And they're so cute. Like, look at that. You freaking kidding me? Have not tried these yet, but I'm going to, and I will give an honest review. You think I won't? I will. Next two things that are new as well is my mini gouache palette. I have not opened her yet. I can't wait to open this. I'm very nervous, but these two are obviously in the kind of paint category. I haven't touched paint since I was in middle school, so that's very, very daunting, but I'm hoping that as I start to learn to paint backgrounds and fur and things like that, I can definitely pump out some pieces. I want to start going into art shows and stuff, and I would want to bring more pastel forward and paint forward pieces, and it's just more exploration for me to do, more learning for me to do as a growing artist. And then with this gouache palette, I also did get a gouache pad, so I'll also be reviewing that when she's done. And I think that's everything I have for you. Oh, one last honorable mention, one last one. I feel like every artist should have this. It is very important to me, and it is my cheapest of the cheap art supply. Get yourself a multi-pen. I don't care what color it is. I don't care what brand it is. This is a Blow Pop themed multi-pen I got from Target 3 years ago. It's got 10 colors. It smells like bubblegum when you use it. It's freaking amazing. And I've used it to create a lot of very fun, very colorful sketches in my sketchbook. And sometimes using a cheaper supply or a cheaper paper makes it feel less daunting if you're an art block, so I highly suggest. I think that is everything I have for you, and I hope this was helpful. I hope this was fun for you. It was fun for me. I got to yap about my supplies and like what I actually think. So yeah, I will definitely see you guys in the next video. I love you. Thank you for all the freaking support on all the platforms. It's been insane seeing how many of you are interacting and actually even crossing over different platforms to come say hi to me on YouTube. It's very encouraging. It's very cool, and I plan to stay. So I will see you guys in the next video. Drink some water, take care of your freaking mind, take your meds, and I will see you then when we draw some freaking animals. Bye!